What is going on, guys? Miles here, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at the de-evolution of the combat record within the Black Ops series, which spans from Black Ops 1 to Black Ops 4. And I know this is a topic which some of you guys probably don't really care about, but there are a lot of people like myself who are interested in the stats they have when they play Call of Duty, and they want to be able to look at them in depth and kind of analyze them and use that information to improve their game themselves. But I feel like the Black Ops 4 combat record is a bit inadequate, and for that reason I'm going to be comparing it to the combat record in other Black Ops games. So let's start off with Black Ops 1, which was the game which introduced the entire combat record feature, besides from the very basic stats such as your KD, your win-loss, the amount of wins, the amount of kills you have, as well as your total score in the game. Those features were in some of the older Call of Duties, but with Black Ops 1 we actually got a few more in-depth statistics. In this video I'm going to be using the combat record of Ripsy HD because I couldn't get my own combat record due to problems with recording on PS3, so credit to this guy for the footage you're seeing in the background. So let's take a look at the Black Ops 1 combat record. There are a lot of things to cover in this thing and I won't go through all of them. At the very start it has all of the basic information such as the amount of wins you have, your win ratio, your best winning streak, as well as things like your kills, your KD and stuff like that. But this thing also has a ton of really interesting stats which I would like to see more in Black Ops 4. One of them is the recent performances tab, where you can see your score per minute and your KD from your 10 recent games. And I know this is a feature in Black Ops 4, but the problem with it is that you can only see it once you finish a game, which I feel is a little bit inconvenient. I would like it to have its own section which you can access at any time, because that would make it a lot more easier to look into and spend a bit of time on. But one thing I like about the combat record in Black Ops 1 is the personal best section. This thing has a ton of information about your best performances in games, including things like the most kills you've had in the game, the most headshots, but even more interesting things such as the most tomahawk kills you've had in a game. And there's also a bunch of like the most medals you've had and stuff like that. I think that kind of thing is really cool and I would like to see it in Black Ops 4, but that's pretty wishful thinking when you look at the current state of the combat record in Black Ops 4. Black Ops 1 has a lot of interesting information about all of the different guns in the game. You can look at the amount of kills you've had with each gun, your KD ratio, your accuracy, and you can even see how many times you've been killed by a specific gun in Black Ops 1, which I think is actually a really cool bit of information, but that specific thing wasn't really followed up in the other games. Alongside this you have all of that same information, but for all of the equipment in the game. You can also see a bunch of information about different game modes as well as score streaks, and finally you can also see a heat map of where you're shooting players in your most recent games, which I think is really interesting as well. A couple of years later Black Ops 2 comes out and it does also feature a combat record similarly to Black Ops 1. However, a few features from the Black Ops 2 combat record are missing. For example, we don't have information on the heat map, which was in Black Ops 1. We don't have information on how many times you've died by equipment and different guns in this one. And also you are missing some information as well regarding some of your personal bests, which is a bit of a shame, but for the most part the combat record in Black Ops 2 is pretty decent. It contains information about your medals, your game modes, your weapons, equipment and score streaks, and it also kind of shows which of the challenges related to those modes you have completed, which I do feel like is a pretty nice touch. This game was followed by Black Ops 3, and for the most part the combat record in this game is very similar to Black Ops 2. It does have information on your different weapons, the different equipment in the game, the score streaks, but it does also have a bit of information on specialists as well, which is quite nice to see. But with Black Ops 2, like I mentioned, you can kind of see like which of the challenges you've completed which are related to all of the different things in the combat record, and this wasn't the case in Black Ops 3 unfortunately. But a few things to mention about Black Ops 3. For the weapons section, it was a little bit weird because you couldn't see your kills for the DLC weapons if you didn't have them. Even if you picked some other guys up and you got kills with them, they weren't like showing properly. You would have to go to the very bottom, which I thought was a bit strange. And also the game mode section was kind of outdated as well, because it didn't include some of the modes which were added into the game at a later point. So you can see a sort of decline in the combat record quality when you compare the first 3 games of the Black Ops series, But then we head into the most recent version, Black Ops 4, which came out around 5 months ago. And if we take a look at the combat record for this game, it is not pretty at all. You do have the medals section, which is kind of nice. You can see some information like the amount of headshots you have, the amount of different like kill streak medals you have, but it's really not that amazing. And then on the right hand side we have the very basics, which we saw like back in CoD 4, such as your wins, the amount of kills you have, your score, and then the relative ratios for those three things. But there really isn't that much other than that. You kind of have a bit of information about the specialists if you go over to those areas, but information such as the amount of kills you have with each weapon, the amount of headshots, your accuracy, your KD, all of that is completely missing, and the same goes for like your equipment as well. And at this point we can't even use the excuse of Black Ops 4 being an unfinished game at release, because the game's been out for like 5 months now. We're like halfway in between Black Ops 4 and the next Call of Duty game, and all of these information on statistics are just missing. And Treyarch did mention that there would be a combat record coming into the game around the time of launch, but it just never was added into the game, just like the leaderboards as well. And that's honestly what just really annoys me about Call of Duty this year. The game is rammed full with microtransactions, but the core parts of the game still don't feel ready, even though the game's been out for like 5 months right now. And that's why I feel like Black Ops 4 is a bit of a disappointing COD. Will we ever actually see a combat record or leaderboards? Honestly, I don't think we ever are, unfortunately, but maybe Infinity Ward will step up the game with their Call of Duty coming this year. So there we have it. That is how the combat record in the Black Ops series has de-evolved over the last like 8 or 9 years. I'm not exactly sure. Let me know what you think of the combat record in Call of Duty. Do you guys actually pay attention to it? Do you like it? Or do you not really care about it not really being a thing within Black Ops 4? But if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more. But I'll see you guys in another video.